This is Corolla DeVille, and you're watching Inkwife TV. I began a Dobby Tattoo about a month or a month and a half ago, and I posted a video on it recently. Anyway, I finally got a chance to finish this bad boy, and so that is what today's video is about. For the first few minutes of the video, I will show you a quick recap on session 1. I used a 23 curved mag and gray wash to fill in the shapes and the shadows of the vapor in the background. It's the classic Dobby picture where he's snapping his fingers and disappearing into a cloud of smoke. The machine is running at about 5 volts, very soft and gentle. For the snap to look like it's lighting up, it needed some darkness in the background. So I went in and created the shapes with some soft shadows. Once all the gray wash was in, I began with a medium skin tone to create the shapes in Dobby's little muscles on his arms. After I had used some medium and light tones, I went in with a dark brown to create shadows in his skin. Dobby's also holding a sock, so that got some color as well. I used a tissue to protect the stencil that was remaining on Dobby's face because I didn't want it to wipe away. I used a liner to mark some of the details on his face that needed a bit of hard outlining. Then again, I went in with a medium flesh tone to start creating the basic shapes and shadows on his face. I think it's difficult to tattoo a portrait of someone whose face is very unique looking. If the face isn't the typical beautiful face, it can be tricky, you know, because mathematically a beautiful face is more balanced, and what's considered an ugly or distasteful face, unattractive, it's just simply not mathematically balanced to be found pleasing, and Dobby certainly has a unique face. So anyway, it was something new. I hadn't ever done a Dobby portrait before, so it was a new unique challenge. At this point, I'm just moving forward and backward between dark and light skin tones as needed to put the shadows and highlights in where I want them to be. By the end of this first session, Dobby's face is not quite completely saturated. I work on it again the second time that I tattoo him. But anyway, he leaves by the first session though, definitely looking like Dobby. I have enough shadows and shapes in there for him to be very recognizable as the little house elf. Last thing to do was to put some color in the spark using some orange and mango, and I believe there was some bright yellow in there in the center too, and also white highlights are very important. And there's the end of session 1. And today I began session 2. You can see from the picture you just saw that he lightened a bit as he healed, but he still has a really good texture and tone remaining in his skin. Right now I'm showing you some real time. This is how fast I actually tattoo. Oh, I'm adjusting my machine to make sure it's hitting just right, tweaking it. I can feel it. If it's hitting too hard or too soft, I can feel it, and I make those small adjustments, probably for the first 10 minutes of the tattoo, in order to get my machine to run exactly how I want it to on the particular client. Once my machine is set and running exactly how I want, I dig into putting dark brown or burnt umber, I believe it is, into all of the dark shadows of the little tea towel that Dobby wears as his clothing. I love using burnt umber in tattoos. I use it in skin tones, but I also use it in many other ways to shade. It's a wonderful, natural, dark color that's pretty versatile. It can be used in to make reds look really dark. It's a color I enjoy using a great deal. I went in with a kind of a golden rusty orange for more color in the tea towel. At this point, I began to bring the color outwards into some of the vapor so that it gives the illusion that he is dissolving into the air behind him. I'm loosely basing all of this tattoo off the picture, but once the tattoo gets onto the skin after a certain degree, I just sort of follow where I think the colors need to go. The last lightest brown color I'm using is an almond, and it's not too much different than his skin tone, but it's different enough to make the tattoo look completed, and it softens the edges of the other brown and rusty orange colors that I have used previously. Next, I used very, very light blue, lightly, to give some color to the vapor. The atmosphere behind Dobby, I feel, needs some color more than just gray wash, and a soft blue works fine. I can pull some of it up into his clothing to give him more of a dissolved look, and then bring it down into the vapor behind him. All of this is, I'm just kind of working from my imagination at this point, putting the blues and the colors in where I think it needs to be to make it look balanced. It doesn't need to have the little blue everywhere. Just, the gray, it needs a different tone other than just, gray wash. There were still some spots on the flesh tones of Dobby's face and arms where I didn't think it looked finished. So I got my medium and light tones and some dark too, to work on the details of his face and to give him a little more dimension than he had. It looked a little bit unfinished to me. So I thought, well, we'll go over it a second time and make it look better. Then I jumped back and thought, it needs some more blue in a few more places. And that's how I work sometimes. I'll work on one area and then glance back and go, oh, now this looks like it needs to be a little more completed too. So I go back and forth. Here I am, I've got my lightest skin tone and I'm dipping it back and forth between that and white, so it's even a little bit lighter, just to fill in some spots in his skin that I felt looked a little rough and a little bit naked. He looks more completed, I thought, with a second application of those skin tones. And really, skin is translucent, so to get the effective layers that you need to make skin more believable, I feel that most portraits need at least 2 sessions, just to make it look good, to make it layer like it's supposed to. You need to let it heal and then go in a second time, and it's optimal even a 3rd time. If you can get that client back in for that 3rd session, it's going to really look exceptionally good. My favorite thing is adding the white highlights at the end, and this is the 2nd session, so I doubled up on those just to make sure that they pop really good. He heals good. My client for this tattoo, he heals really well and holds color, so this white will stay really well on him. I added a few white highlights to the vapor behind him too. It's a subtle effect. It's not very obvious, but it will give that smoke behind him just a pinch more dimension than it otherwise would have had. Once that's done, we're finished, and here he is. The whites still had a little bit of blood coming through them, so they will be much paler when they heal, and I think I might just post a healed photo of that when it's done. But thank you guys for watching, and see you next week.